Travis Reier and Charlie Potter, the BamaOnline.com staff from outside Wednesday's practice at the University of Alabama with another edition of Instant Analysis. And Charlie, 8 games in 8 weeks for the Alabama Crimson Tide, coming off last Saturday's 41-23 win over Texas A&M in College Station, Texas. A lot of talk this week about mindset, about the grind of the last 7 weeks, Tennessee coming off the bye week. What's the feeling you get from this team at midweek?
Well, I mean, obviously they've played a lot of games, but the coaching staff's keeping them fresh. The last couple of Mondays, they've gone out with no shoulder pads, no pants, just helmets. Haven't done much contact, and today and yesterday they've had on full pads. So I mean, they don't seem to be too beat up. I mean, the injury bug hasn't been that bad. I mean, we're still waiting to see what happened to Ryan Kelly, but I think you would see more guys laying out of drills or limited, I guess, in sorts. But that hasn't been the case. I mean, guys are going through practice. There's a bit of intensity where we were, because the outside session, we're always close to Tosh the Boy and Bo Davis, so you're going to get an earful there. So, I haven't seen any kind of drop off in terms of intensity, or I haven't seen any fatigue, which Saban's asked about Monday. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, from the injury standpoint, you mentioned Ryan Kelly at Wednesday's practice. Still maybe a little bit up in the air. We'll hear from Nick Saban following the workout. I think they're taking every precaution that they have to and need to, given the sort of injury that he apparently sustained at Texas A&M. Kenyon Drake looks good to me out there running around.
He does. He hasn't missed a practice or drill when we've been out there. And, that's a total of maybe 5 practice or periods all week combined. But he looks good. He's cutting and doing stuff. We haven't seen him take any drills off, so that's always a positive sign. And I think it was a good sign that he actually came back in the game in the fourth quarter, so he should be good to go there.
Offensively, Drake sort of in the spotlight, I guess you could say, given the position he plays, because Derrick Henry, as we've all noted, is really piled on the carries in the last 4 or 5 games, 85 in the last 3 games, averaging 27 in SEC play in terms of carries per game. So interesting to see how they approach that. I'm at the point where I think it's Henry's ball. Yep. I don't think 7-8 games in the season you magically find a guy that's going to give you 12, 13 carries a game. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. I think if they're going to get Drake going in the offense, they're going to use him out wide. I mean, they've seen what Henry can do. He's still turning those legs in the fourth quarter of games after 30-plus carries and, a workload just taking a pounding, and he's not slowing down. So I don't think you take the ball away from him. He's obviously seen success, but I think you try to get Drake going in the passing game. Obviously, the wide receiver position is a little depleted with Robert Foster being out, and we saw last week early in the game, Richard Mullaney went down, and they put Derek Keefe in the game, which was a head scratcher. Where's Chris Black? Where's Cam Sims? I know it's certain situations where that's the guy in the slot, but you could move Calvin Ridley in the slot, put Cam Sims outside, or even bring Chris Black in. That was a little odd to me. So I think you get Drake involved in the passing game, and that not only opens your offense, but gets him going too.
Yeah, kind of a surprise, I'd say, not seeing Black in that situation on Saturday, because, that was a perfect spot for him, you would have thought. Yeah. But, we don't know what happens always either between Monday and Saturday. So things happen on the practice field and other areas. So the passing game, now that we're talking about it, Jacob Coker, when you talk about interceptions, he has 6 of them this season. All of them at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So that'll be a focal point, seeing if they can come out early, establish the running game, get him in good situations, and get him off to that sort of efficient start that we've seen on the road. Now, from a running standpoint, you kind of get the feeling that maybe we're going to see more of this, maybe not just on scrambles. I know we've talked about the possibility of more designed runs, but the guy looks like he loves playing football more than he loves playing quarterback, if that makes any sense.
No, I mean, it does. It does. I mean, he's taking contact instead of just getting contact. Yeah. And, that's pumping his teammates up. I think, they could put in those run plays that were designed for Cooper Bateman, because Coker has obviously shown that he's willing to keep the football. I mean, you can do that off of jet sweeps. You can do that off a lot of things. I think that, like Drake, would open up your offense a bit. I think it'll be key for him, though, this week to take care of the football. As you said, he has thrown all of his interceptions at home, and Tennessee's defense is going to be paying attention to that.
Defensively, we talk about turnovers, and sort of like Alabama's taking care of the football. on the road. Alabama's defense has really taken it away on the road. There's some turnovers they've created at home, but when you really look at the number, I think it's like eight turnovers forced maybe on the road at this point. It's a really high number, but this is a group that's got to be playing with a lot of confidence right now, and it's one of the reasons why I sort of dispel the whole, coming out flat, not playing well mentally or any of those things, because I think they're surging right now. I think they've got a confidence, and with that comes an anxiousness, actually, to play. I worry about them almost being too aggressive or too excited about getting out there Saturday.
Yeah, that was the case against Ole Miss. And I thought that could be the case against Georgia with the pregame chatting going on, but that wasn't the case. It's like when they're on the road, they just have this chip on their shoulder, and then they just go out and play out of their minds. And at home, it's like they're relaxed a little bit and get a little bit lackadaisical, I guess. So it'll be interesting how they counterbalance that.
Different element with Josh Dobbs this week. He is a true dual threat. They've seen spread offenses. They've seen hurry-up spread offenses. Last week they saw one. Thought they'd see a little more mobility from the quarterback last week. Didn't have a problem with that. Minus 29 yards for the Texas A&M quarterbacks. I think it's tougher this week. Dobbs is not only a fast guy, a semi-elusive guy, but he's got some size to him too. And like Coker, he doesn't seem to be afraid of contact.
Yeah, I think that's why we've seen Jamie Mosley wearing Dobbs' number in practice. He's not out there to show off his arm. He's out there to present a big body that's tough to tackle. I think that's a really wise move on the coaching staff's part. You don't want to – obviously the quarterbacks in practice all wear black jerseys. You're not going to tackle them, and you're not going to tackle Blake Barnett either with him only being on the field for 2 days now. So, I think Mosley doing that's going to help them out a lot. I don't think he presents the same speed as Dobbs, and obviously he can't throw the football, as I said, but I think that's a really smart move on their part.
Yeah, and – you talk about some of the other weapons for Tennessee. Jalen Hurd, sort of like a Derrick Henry, doesn't really blow you away. He's a big, tall kid with size, just makes positive yards, it seems like. Alvin Kamara, certainly a storyline this week, the former Alabama back that they like to use sort of in a Kenyon Drake role, I would say. And they have a tight end in Ethan Wolf that can hurt you. I guess I'm most surprised at this point that they haven't been more productive with their outside receivers, because they have a lot of talented guys. They have 4, 5, 6'3" guys, but it hasn't clicked for them in the passing game. And so that's something to keep an eye on this week as well. The kicking game, mixed bag out in College Station. If you went into that game and said, look, Alabama will kick the ball well, they just won't cover it or they won't hold on to it well, I don't know if I would have believed that, but kind of played out that way. And if there's a challenge for this Alabama defense right now, it's still to continue to overcome mistakes from the offense in the kicking game.
Yeah, as you said, the coverage units have been solid all season long, really, and we've seen J.K. Scott start off a little slow but pick up, and Adam Griffin's obviously had the inconsistencies this season, but it was just odd to see especially the punt coverage do what it's done, because all season long Tony Brown and Bradley Silva have been getting down there. It was almost like J.K. Scott was just completely out-kicking his coverage at times, or they just weren't trying very hard. That's just an observation. But that hurts the defense. The defense has been playing unbelievably, and when you have mess ups like that or fumbles on the return game, that's only going to hurt them when the offense isn't making mistakes.
Yeah, no doubt, and turnover margin is huge, and as long as they can stay about even with this defense, they're in great shape, I think, in most games. And the return game for Tennessee will be a challenge this week. I think Evan Berry returns punts and kickoffs for the Vols very good. Been very good in the punt return game, so it won't get any easier. So how do you see this game playing out? Do you feel like it's a grinder again, or do you feel like it's maybe more of what we've seen from Alabama on the road, or somewhere in the middle?
I think it'll be a grinder in the beginning. I think it'll be a close game going into halftime. I feel like I've said that about a lot of games this year, but with it being a rivalry game, and then looking ahead to the bye week in LSU, I think it'll be pretty close in the early goings. I think they pull away in the third, fourth quarter. I think Alabama can get kind of close to that high 28, low 30 range, and Tennessee will get close to about the 20s.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar to Arkansas. In fact, I've called Arkansas and Tennessee Ark-Tennessee this year, because I really think they're about the same team in different ways, but they just remind me of each other, especially with the preseason expectations. I think Alabama will be excited to play. I don't see the weary dragging type mindset. I think, again, because I think the defense is going to be ready to play. I think they're going to be motivated and good to go. So I see a similar game to what we saw with Arkansas, so probably more along the lines of what you're talking about. But as we wrap up here, we'd be really remiss if we didn't mention the passing of Alti Tenpenny, the former Alabama running back. Just an absolute shame to see one the age of 20 pass away in such a tragic manner. Yeah, he had his ups and downs at Alabama, and he's been through a tumultuous stretch here in the last 6 months. But just a sad, sad story. And I think if you needed any validation of what he meant to this team while he was here, check out social media and what his teammates said about him in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I first saw the little bit of news pop up on my news feed, I was frantically searching Twitter just because I couldn't believe it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, as you said, he's had a tough road to go, and I just couldn't believe that happened to a kid like that.
Yeah, just an absolute shame to see, again, 20 years old and leave at such a young age. So we'll call it a day on that. For Charlie Potter, I'm Travis Reier, reminding you to keep it right here on BamaOnline.com for more coverage of Crimson Tide athletics.